What if I told you that the gold rush of the mid-1800s, an event that's often associated with wild speculation and reckless abandon, actually laid the foundation for real estate development in the West? Let's rewind the clock back to the year 1848, a time when the discovery of gold in California set off a frenzy unlike any other. As word spread like wildfire, it ignited a spark that would draw people from all corners of the globe. They came in droves, each with dreams of striking it rich. This was the beginning of the gold rush, a pivotal moment in history that would change the landscape of the West forever. But it wasn't just about the gold. With the surge in population came the need for housing, for infrastructure, for communities. What started as a scattered collection of mining camps soon began to evolve. We saw the birth of towns, each with its own unique character, each a testament to the hopes and aspirations of its inhabitants. People from different parts of the world, each with their own unique cultures and traditions, converged on this new frontier. This melting pot of cultures added a rich diversity to these burgeoning communities. Businesses sprung up to cater to the needs of the miners and their families. Schools, churches, and government offices were established. The foundations for real estate development were being laid, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. The rapid influx of people and the haphazard development that followed brought its own set of challenges. Law and order were hard to maintain, and disputes over land were common. But these challenges were met with resilience and innovation. The initial establishment of mining towns was just the first step in a journey that would see the West transform from a wild and untamed frontier to a region of thriving towns and cities. Indeed, the gold rush was more than just a frenzied scramble for wealth. It was the beginning of a new era of expansion and development. As we journey further into this fascinating chapter of history, we'll see how this spark ignited not just a rush for gold but a transformation that would shape the future of the West. As the gold rush intensified, the hastily set up mining camps of yesteryears began to morph into more permanent settlements. Imagine this. Miners from all over the world, driven by the promise of fortune, flocked to the West in unprecedented numbers. These prospectors needed places to live, to eat, to rest. And so the demand for housing boomed. The tents and makeshift shacks of the initial gold seekers were soon replaced by more substantial wooden structures. Enterprising individuals saw the opportunity and began providing housing to the miners. These boarding houses, hotels, and private residences started lining the streets of what were once transient mining camps. But people need more than just a roof over their heads. They need sustenance, clothing, tools. So as the population grew, so did the array of businesses. General stores, saloons, blacksmiths, and tailors sprang up, meeting the everyday needs of the miners and their families. The former mining camps were starting to look less like temporary settlements and more like thriving communities. But what's a town without a proper road or a railway to connect it to the rest of the world? The advent of infrastructure was a defining moment in the transformation of these camps. Roads were constructed not just within the towns but also connecting them to other settlements and cities. The introduction of the railway was a game changer. It made transportation of goods and people faster and more efficient, fueling further growth. The gold rush was not just about the pursuit of gold. It was also about the transformation of the landscape, the birth of new communities, the inception of businesses, and the establishment of infrastructure. In a sense, the gold rush was a catalyst for real estate development in the West. And so, out of the dust and chaos of the gold rush, the seeds of real estate development were sown. From the humble beginnings of makeshift camps, bustling towns emerged, setting the stage for the West as we know it today. With the rapid expansion and development of the West, it became evident that regulations were required to manage the burgeoning real estate sector. As miners flocked to the West in search of gold, they needed places to live, work, and play. This resulted in the rapid development of towns and cities, but it also led to a chaotic land-grabbing spree. This wild, unregulated growth was exciting, but it was also unsustainable. The need for structured land management became increasingly apparent. Enter the United States government. Recognizing the need for order in this frenzied rush for land, the government stepped in to implement land laws. These laws were designed to provide a framework for the allocation and use of land, and to prevent the rampant speculation that had been driving up property prices. The first of these laws was the Preemption Act of 1841. This law allowed settlers to stake a claim on up to 160 acres of public land and purchase it at a minimal price. provided they had lived on and improved the land for at least 14 months. Next came the Homestead Act of 1862, which allowed any adult citizen or intended citizen to claim up to 160 acres of public land for free, provided they improve the land by building a dwelling and cultivating crops. These laws had a profound impact on real estate development in the West. They provided a fair and structured way for people to acquire land, and they also encouraged the development and improvement of this land. This led to a more organized and sustainable growth of towns and cities, and it laid the groundwork for the real estate market as we know it today. The government's role in land allocation and the introduction of land laws during the Gold Rush era were pivotal in shaping the landscape of the western United States. They not only brought order to a chaotic situation, but also fostered a culture of land ownership and real estate development that continues to thrive today. In the midst of the Gold Rush, the foundations of the real estate market as we know it today were being laid. As the Gold Rush wound down, its legacy in the realm of real estate was only just beginning to unfold. The Gold Rush was a phenomenon that drastically reshaped the landscape of the American West. But as the glittering allure of gold began to fade, the impact of this monumental event persisted, particularly in the field of real estate. Just as rivers of gold had drawn thousands to the West, the promise of vast unclaimed lands began to lure a new wave of pioneers. These were not the miners and prospectors of old, but entrepreneurs and dreamers, eager to stake their claim in the burgeoning real estate market of the post-Gold Rush era. The aftermath of the Gold Rush saw a real estate boom unlike any before. Plots of land once overlooked in the frenzy for gold were now being snatched up and transformed into thriving businesses, fertile farms, and bustling towns. This was a time of unprecedented growth and opportunity as the West began to shed its wild, untamed image to become a land of prosperity and promise. One city that exemplified this transformation was San Francisco. Once a small, sleepy hamlet, San Francisco exploded in size and wealth during the Gold Rush. But even as the last of the gold mines dried up, the city continued to grow. The influx of wealth had attracted a diverse array of individuals, from merchants and businessmen to artists and intellectuals, all eager to make their mark in this new frontier city. The real estate boom brought with it a wave of construction, as new buildings and infrastructure sprang up to accommodate the growing population. Land that was once deemed worthless suddenly became the foundation for grand mansions, stately offices, and sprawling parks. Such was the power of the Gold Rush's aftermath, a transformation that turned the West from a rugged frontier to a beacon of commerce and culture. Indeed, the Gold Rush had set the stage for a real estate revolution in the West. So, how did a frantic search for gold influence the course of real estate development in the West? As fortune seekers began pouring into the West, the demand for housing, services, and infrastructure skyrocketed as well. The once sparse and uncharted territories soon turned into bustling towns, complete with saloons, general stores, and residential quarters. The Gold Rush did not just bring an influx of people, it brought an unprecedented wave of construction and real estate development. The sudden surge of population meant that land, once considered worthless, was now valuable. This sparked a real estate boom. Lots that were virtually free before the Gold Rush were now being sold for exorbitant prices. The promise of gold was enticing, but the allure of real estate proved to be just as irresistible for many. Moreover, as miners exhausted the gold deposits and the rush began to wane, many turned to real estate as an alternative means of wealth. After all, the land was there, the towns were established, and the people, though fewer, were still present. The Gold Rush towns transformed into permanent settlements, the real estate market matured, and land ownership became a coveted status symbol. In the larger scheme of things, the Gold Rush served as a catalyst for westward expansion. The development of real estate and infrastructure paved the way for the establishment of new states and territories. The frantic quest for gold ultimately led to the creation of a more organized and civilized West, as people realized the lasting potential of land over fleeting gold nuggets. In essence, the Gold Rush was not just about the pursuit of gold, it was about the pursuit of opportunity. It was about staking a claim not just on a piece of land, but on a slice of the American dream itself. And there you have it, a journey from gold mines to real estate, a testament to the enduring impact of the Gold Rush on the West.